Mike, what's the best looking game on Xbox?
I think it's probably... Is it Cyberpunk now? What do you reckon?
No. Cyberpunk?
It looks pretty now,
I
right?
haven't looked at it recently. Okay, well, you're wrong anyway. The answer is Hellblade 2 Senua Saga, which looks absolutely fantastic. And Xbox recently took me to Iceland to have a look at it and also Iceland.
Right.
Where it is set.
Okay.
So I could look at the two things side by side.
And be like, yep.
And be like, those are the same.
Right, okay.
Which was my experience of the trip. But
that
yes.
meme, the two images are the same.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm going to show you some Hellblade 2
Cool.
now. And then you can look at it and we can sort of talk about it.
All right, I'm up for that.
I've dreamt of this. This place of fear and fury. Do you hear it? The heartbeat of the lost ones. I can feel them on my skin.
Have you been to Iceland?
I have not, so I would love to go. It looks amazing.
Strange place.
Strange place.
Strange looking place.
Land of trolls and
It's a sort of-
Northern Lights. Wait, we're a land of Northern Lights now. Ignore that.
And trolls.
We've got those, and trolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, internet trolls.
It's a sort of uniquely inhospitable place.
Yes.
For a start, it's called Iceland,
Yes.
which means there's a lot of ice.
Clues in the name.
Yeah, it has volcanoes everywhere. They're always erupting.
But hang on a minute, Greenland's not that green.
Yeah, that's because they learned from Iceland. So it's to try and trick people. They're like, no,
Come to Greenland.
Candyland.
Greenland Tourism Board is
Yeah.
like crossed out like frozen wasteland.
I'm like,
written green
I'm sure
underneath.
Greenland is lovely as well. But so Iceland, volcanoes.
Yes.
It is built on like the dividing line between two tectonic plates.
Bad for you.
Between like the European and the American tectonic plate. We drove over the gap between the two. There's like
Is it a
little
ramp?
There's like a dip because they're moving apart like
Right.
from each other. In like 1,000 years, there's going to be
gonna
like
just swallow
a
everything
bit
up.
more. Iceland's going to be bigger, but it's built on a right on the tectonic plate.
Volcano's
so,
bad for you, tectonic plate,
yeah,
gap, bad for you.
earthquakes.
Yep.
Sulphurous springs that make the whole place smell like sulphur.
Bad for you.
But like boiling hot springs everywhere that you could fall in.
Yeah,
If
bad
you're
for
walking
you.
around, geysers of boiling hot water could shoot up and get you.
I like that.
Probably.
I like that the resilience of the Icelandic people is like a communal biting of the thumb at whatever capricious god invented Iceland.
Yeah, I'd never seen an active volcano before, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, you said it was like glowing as you like landed on the plane. And
Yeah,
stuff.
it was like during the 2 hours of night where it's dark. My taxi from the airport.
Yeah.
You could see there's just glowing in the distance. He was like, oh yeah, that's just fire coming off the volcano. So this is where Hellblade 2 Senua Saga is set, because the first game was set sort of partially in Orkney, but also mostly in Helheim, which is a sort of not a real place.
Yeah, like a Norse version of hell.
Yeah, whereas this game is set in a real place, which is Iceland. So if you didn't play the first game, Senua, she's pursuing the slavers who killed her love, Dillion.
Right.
So she's gone up to Iceland, which is where these guys are based.
How did she get from Orkney to Iceland?
Boat.
Because that'd take ages though.
Well, no,
It's not like
it's only-
affordable air travel.
It's just up there.
Okay.
Just just
Alright.
go off on a boat. Yeah, I think like the kind of the unique character of Iceland informs the game because it is really inhospitable landscape. Like the beaches are sort of black and jagged. So there's this beach that we went to in real life, but it's also in the game, and it's where sort of Senua lands in Iceland.
Okay.
And it's a lava beach which is formed by obviously lava flowing down into the sea, crashing into the sea, and then
Super cooling.
yeah, super cooling into these like jagged like spurs of volcanic rock sticking out of
It's
the
like
ground.
an alien landscape, isn't
It
it?
is.
Iceland?
It's incredible. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. And we were talking to some of the art team, and they were talking about how they scanned these landscapes to put them into the
Right,
games.
photogrammetry, right?
They got photogrammetry. They were using drones to do it. It's hard because like the weather there is quite bad a lot of the time. So you've got wind.
The drones are just like
rain. The drones are going sideways and stuff. So it's challenging. Most of Iceland sort of wants to kill you.
Yeah, as
In
we've
terms of the
established.
landscape, just sheer cliff edges everywhere and things like that.
Drone
But,
gets hit by some molten rock flying through the air.
yeah, exactly. But it's a really unique landscape. And what they've done with the game is sort of take what's there in reality and then just sort of plus it up, like exaggerate
Yeah.
it slightly. So sometimes it's for actual like workability reasons. So we went to a beach there was like a pebble beach, like you get at like Brighton Beach in the UK, but the pebbles were all like 100 times the size of a normal pebble. So trying to actually clamber around this beach was incredibly difficult. So
what is this, a beach for giants?
Yeah, basically, it's like if you imagine a stone about this big. That's like every stone on this beach was like that. So I was like,
how has this happened?
So I was sort of clambering around the
place.
place.
How has this place happened?
I don't know. It's interesting, but it's like that wouldn't be very fun in a video game. So they're like, okay, we'll reduce those down for the game
to the size of Brighton.
Yes, and it's also to like facilitate the narrative as well, like
facilitate being able to walk around,
being able to tell the story that they want to tell. Like the beach that we were at, there's a bit in one of the trailers where a sort of a giant comes out of this cave to attack you. And in real life there isn't a cave there, but you can see spurs from the rock where like you can imagine it would have eroded since the time that the game is set, so you can sort of visualize it. So yeah, they've taken what's there and sort of like embellished it is the word, not reimagined, but just sort of added to it, which I think is really nice.
They're allowed, I think.
Yeah, and they had like quite a sophisticated weather system in the first game, but they've sort of expanded the weather system in this second game, and it sort of feeds into Senua's mental state, because that's another important aspect of these games.
So the dark clouds roll in when things are getting bad.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, Senua is someone who experiences psychosis in the game, and that's a very important part of it. And in the first game, that was all taking place in Helheim, which is, not a real place. Yeah. So it had that layer to it where everything was a bit more unreal, whereas now you've got the sort of that layer over the real world, which is interesting. It's still got the sort of puzzles where you have to look at things from different angles, but there's a sense of not truly knowing like what's real and what isn't, which is interesting.
It's just like before.
No, this cannot happen again.
You couldn't do anything.
We have to stop it happening. Face it.
You need to face it.
Focus.
You need to look at it.
We did a level where it was set in Crucivik, which is a sulphurous hot springs area. Right. And we went there in real life. There's some footage on screen now that I shot when we were there. And it's this incredible like sulphurous spring. You can see all the boiling pools and the steam rising and stuff. And in the game, they've built a settlement there based around these hot springs. And while that might sound nice, in the game it's very sort of Resident Evil 4, like a real kind of murder village.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because everyone has been sort of slaughtered by these slavers, and you have to sort of make your way through this village to try and figure out what's going on, and maybe take them down, because they're they're not up to good stuff, these guys.
So on the negative side, murder village. On the positive side, underfloor heating.
Yes. Negative side, smells like farts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, all right, fine. More cons than pros.
2 negatives, 1 positive. But yeah, and they've cut like a valley through this mountain to create a sort of new area.
It's very
in
industrious
the back.
of them. Well done.
Yeah, the essence is the same. They're like heightening it rather than changing it.
I see. Yeah.
Which is cool. So yeah, the kind of the lengths they've gone to capture this stuff. They were back and forth to Iceland. They have a guy over there who we met, who's like their sort of person on the ground there in Iceland, doing all the drone scanning. They created like a full working toolbox of like Icelandic pieces that they could build landscapes out of. And also like the man-made stuff as well. They've kind of very thoroughly historically researched what all these techniques, these house building techniques.
Yeah, there's a bit of in the footage. There's the sort of like hut with the the way it's constructed is unique to...
Yeah, and everything is, all these settlements are sympathetic to the environment that are in the game. So some will be built out of the kind of the rock that's there, the volcanic rock. Other ones will be built more out of mud, because you're in the sort of muddier area with this kind of sulphurous hot springs.
And I think because of the harsh weather as well and the wind, they probably build a lot of settlements into the sort of landscape almost.
Yeah, exactly. They're using the kind of natural features to build shelter for themselves, as they would have done at the time. I mean, the game is really fun. The combat's good. It's like really solid like counters and dodges and all that kind of stuff. The story is compelling. There's a lot of really cool stuff that they do with the audio, particularly. If you played Hellblade 1, you'll know, but with the binaural, the kind of voices that Senua hears, and they sort of move around, and it creates like a really immersive soundscape while you're playing.
What are you doing?
Screams of the dead.
There's something here. They are not.
I need to find out what it is.
They are. They're dead.
You're mad.
She's not mad. He doesn't see the signs.
Don't make sense.
Stupid!
He doesn't.
You're mad.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't see the signs.
There is no way.
But like I think that I was most taken aback by is just how gorgeous this game looks. I mean, it's Unreal Engine working at absolute max capacity. I'm not sure if it's like it's helped by how dark it is. Like a lot of the game is extremely dark, and I get a lot of the time you're sort of peering, trying to make details out. But like the facial animations, particularly the performance capture, is incredibly impressive. So I think I don't think it's hyperbole to say that this is the best looking game on Xbox currently.
Yeah, definitely the performance capture thing is that's like a Ninja Theory sort of strong point. I think because they made Enslaved Odyssey to the West, and at the time that was like 360, Xbox 360 era, and at the time the performance capture in that was incredible.
Heavenly Sword as well with Andy Serkis.
Yeah, exactly. So
pioneering that stuff.
So they've sort of been at this game for quite a while now with the motion capture stuff. So or performance capture, I guess you'd call it. So yeah, I would expect it to be good, but yeah, you're saying it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the thing I'm worried about is that few people will play it because it doesn't have the kind of cachet of a God of War. It's sort of in that same space, I think, as God of War, that kind of Norse myth kind of area, and it feels like it's not quite on the same level culturally.
It's a little more intellectually challenging, I guess, probably you'd say, than obviously the sort of God of War series draws from mythology and similar sort of areas of mythology and stuff, but I do think Hellblade's a slightly more thoughtful game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And certainly with the mental health stuff and things, which I guess can make it a bit less accessible, but I think to me it makes it more interesting. And it seems like they're managing to balance that sort of intellectual side with some fairly crunchy combat and things like that. So as long as that stuff's good as well, it's also going to be on Game Pass. So I'm hoping that it might not, have the same audience as a God of War, but hopefully lots of people who wouldn't ordinarily have picked it up if it was a full price boxed game might still give it a go and be interested. It just depends, I suppose, what Microsoft's measure of success is. And as we've seen from recent news, their measure of success doesn't necessarily match up with critical appreciation and things like that.
Yeah, I was very impressed with seeing the real world locations that inspired the game, and then seeing those locations actually in the game and how well they had sort of recreated those.
Did you play the first game?
Yes, I did play the first game.
Yeah. Do you recommend people have a crack at that while they're waiting for the 21st to swing around?
Yeah, I mean the first game is
quite
definitely
short, isn't it?
It's quite short. It's worth your time, but also as long as you sort of know what happens in that one, I don't think you necessarily do need to play it to go into this one. I would say, give either of them a go, because I think they are a unique experience in terms of this kind of game. As you say, slightly more cerebral, slightly more thought-provoking, and definitely worth your time, I would say.
All the grief, all the rage, all the fear.
Everything I've seen, everything I've done, has led me to this place.
We've come so far, not far enough.
Hellblade 2 is going to be hitting Game Pass on the 21st of May, so check that out if you're interested in this kind of thing. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time on Outside Xbox.
Bye.